Morning and welcome back to the Home Renovation Experts. Steve here on this 5x3 garden room build. So if you didn't see us yesterday, this is where I got to. So there you go, back wall, side wall done, braced up for a second. I had a massive run yesterday to pick up materials here, there and everywhere, which is all good fun. So I've got me 6x2 for the roofing joists, my 5x2 for the front wall, and my 4x2 just to finish off this wall here. So my plan of action for today, after rebuilding the racking in a van, don't ask, it's embarrassing, is, all right, fine, I'll tell you. So what happened was, I picked up loads of me 11mm OSB, which will brace on the outside of the walls. And for the first time ever, I thought, you know what, genius idea. What I'm gonna do is, I've got these nice big, what do you call it, ratchet ties. I'm gonna tie it to my racking because that way it just stays it flopping around in the van a little bit. Happy days. Got halfway to work and I had this massive crash. I'm like, cock, that's my racking over. So I spent the last 40 minutes rebuilding my racking, getting everything back on it because I take everything off in order to get it up, get the OSB out, which will trap the sliding door. It was fun in the sun, but I've got a cup of tea, so I'm a happy man. It's 8:30, so it's time to crack on now. And I'm talking to you, which is nice. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm all set up over here, ready to go. So what I'll do is, I'll get this wall built first. If you want to know how to build walls, check out the previous day's video, which will be yesterday's video, and I'll show you exactly how to build these, exactly how to like boss cut, so you do one cut for every single vertical length. California corners, which means you've got something to brace and carry your plasterboard off of. And apart from that, time to crack on. Right, how do you build a wooden lintel? With wood. That's the correct answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my little vertical walls in a second. I just have to clarify with the client exactly how big they're, like their windows and doors and stuff, because that's the good thing about having it bespoke built. You can actually make those decisions. But while I was waiting for her to come back home, I started producing my first wooden lintel. I thought you'd like to see what I'm doing. So what I've done is, because it's wooden, I can do what I want to do with it. Here's a little one I prepared for you earlier. So on the end of these, you can see they've got that cut out, okay? Because normally with a steel, you know, I'm not cutting L shapes out of it. A steel would just sit straight on top of that one, job done. But because it's wood, and I like to be smart, I've cut it so that it will sit on there, so that what I'll do is then I'll put a massive bolt through the top corner here into this right hand wall as well. So you see, it sits nicely. So I've done that on both of them. So these are 6x2s, which is beautiful. What I've done first of all is, I spoke about this loads of time before, if you look downward along that edge and the bottom edge, you can figure out which is the crown. So the crown is a bit that goes up and down towards the end. That's the one you want for the top, okay? So that when the weight's bearing down on it, it's pushing, but the wood's fighting back because it's kind of got that natural twist to it. Because of the size of the apertures, these are absolutely perfect. I don't need a flitch beam or anything else. So what I've done here is, I've marked 200mm in here, which will be the part that sits roughly through the centre of here. So that'll be where my first bolts go, okay? And then I've worked it out, same at this end, where I want my first one to go, just sit there. And then basically it's every 24 centimetres going through. So this will have like 13 bolts in it. I'm using M10, 100mm. So they'll go straight through into the other one, job done. I've got a 12mm drill bit. So I'll just now put you onto the stand. Give me a second, I'll flip you around like that. So what I'll do firstly is turn this one up like that, ready? So what I'm gonna do is put some of my 5-minute lumberjack wood adhesive glue between the two of them, because basically if you glue together as well, that makes it extra nice. The glue is a bit overkill, the bolts will do it, but like I'll say, it's here in the hand. Just whip it a bit down there like that. Doesn't take long. Doesn't cost a fortune or anything. So there you go. That is it, done. Place them together like they like each other. Make sure you're happy with the alignment. Now what I'm going to do is twist them like that, because obviously on the horses here, so that's going to keep them relatively nice and level. Just double checking, yes, I've got the crown there, looking good. Okay, now keep them in that position, lined out, and then just adjust if I need to. What I'll do is, because I know exactly where the bolts are going to go, I've got them all marked, I'm going to fire a couple of pins in, just to keep it together, keep it pinned while I do this bit, making sure that they're perfectly aligned. Glasses. Nice. Don't use this to hammer stuff, it's an expensive tool, right? Sometimes you can where you're in the middle of doing something. And notice again, I'm spiking, so that gives it extra strength. Down and angle. Done. Then turn over, do the same again. My glue could be going off, happy days, that's all pinned together and beautiful. What I've then done is, you can see these lines running through, I'm going to alternate the holes, okay? So they're just going to be offset from each other, so I'm just measuring 50mm down, 50mm up, alright? So I'll do the first couple. One. Now, what I've got to remember is that is the end that's going over there, okay? So what I want to do is make sure that my bolts are going through this actual side. If I put them coming in through this way, I'd have a little bit of overhang I have to possibly cut off. By going through that way, I know it's going to be spot on. Looking out the right direction. So this will be flush and not getting away with big plasterboard and stuff. Just hammer that back point in. Same to his little matey, wherever he's hiding. Done. So what I'll do now is I will cut the rest of those holes, flip it over. To be fair, I will pull these out again and countersink them a little bit because they are just sitting slightly proud. So again, I won't do my plasterboard. So I'll pull these out for 2 seconds, countersink them in a little, cut the rest of the holes, put them through, bolt them up on the other side, and you're done. That is it. Glued, nailed, and bolted. Perfect. That'll do. Absolutely spot on. So I've got 2 of these to make. This one will go above right-hand door, right-hand window. French doors. And then the other one, obviously, just do that last window. So easy peasy. Happy days. And a little walk round to turn it off. So there you go. Just quickly countersunk those with a 25mm bit, and you can see sunk, flush, beautiful. So this will be on the inside of the building. Stunning. I mean, that's simple. And then on the flip side, so you can see why I didn't want that on the inside, because that would have been right away the plasterboard, so I'd have to like shut off all of these. But as it turns out, this is going to be facing the outside, which would be in the front of the eaves for the canopy, the overlap canopy. So it doesn't matter, not even a bit. And that ain't going over nowhere, nowhere. So glued, bolted and nailed. Done, one small one to go. But before I build the next one, I will actually get my little walls up, because I just fancy doing that for a second, so I will. Right, I'll see you in a sec. Right, another little top tip coming at you. So, usually what I do is, when I build up my front walls, I buy a piece of timber that's big enough to run the full length, the top and the bottom, or the other way around, top and then bottom. But I couldn't get it in my van, and also didn't have it in stock. So, I'm going back to the old school way of doing it, but this is a good way of doing it, and it does the job nicely. So what I've done is, over here on the base plate, I just whacked a screw in, tied a string line to it. I've then done the exact same thing to the other side, like that, right? Then get 3 pieces of wood that are off cut, so exactly the same width, very important. I then put that here, up against this right wall. And now this is my floating wall, As you can see, this is my little one. I then grab my little chunk of wood, like this. I then slide said bit of wood down the back, okay? And what you can see is it is literally just touching that bit of wood, okay? Now, I've done that for that end and the other end, and then I've secured these in place by putting some fixings there. Because at that point, I was still able to move this wall that way and that way as I needed to. So a little tap with a hammer to get it in place, nailed it through, same the other side. And now, when I build these walls in the center, these two, I'll make sure when I line it, that that bit of wood is just touching that wall. So that way I know that the front wall is plumb and flush, because what you don't want to happen is if I didn't do that and I just put all my these last two bits of wall here and here in and sort of thought it was roughly level the front, that would be all right. When I put my doors and windows in, they may not have the same sort of depth, it may sort of offset. Same as I'd put a lintel on the top. If they're not all fully aligned going through, it may mean that some of these are pissed. So I'll get these built, I'll stick them up and I'll show you a bit more detail. So I hope that makes sense. Think about it for a second and then I'll come back and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But the string line, very important. Righto, for you, been a second. For me, 3 hours. No, I'm not joking. There you go, look. So there they now are. So I've still got that one put across there. But you can now see, done. And what I've done is obviously rested the little halfway to the centre of this one. What I've done is, when I kind of got these in space, like I said, so forget that bit there for a second, the gap between there and there is spot on, which is fine. This will have 11mm OSB and then battens on it, which will clear going past there, so that's perfect. These are all beautifully in line, as you can see. Well, I can make it look like that because of perspective. Look how straight it is. So what I've done is I then plonked this on top over here, got it level with this, and then what I've done was I used these two 50mm tech screws, straight down, straight through. I countersunken in the top as well. I mean, you can just see. So I kind of going in sort of yay deep. So that's pinned that in beautifully. I then went down the far end, and then when you'll do this one, is stick your level on it, and then what you do is you then secure the lintel at the top to it while it's perfectly level, okay? So once that's secured, you can walk away, you know that is straight. Then you do your middle one. Again, same thing, put a level on it, and what I do is, you just see there, a tiny 100mm hex screw. I get it started, and then as I'm leveling it and holding it, I then just use the impact driver just to get it tight, just not tight, just nip it, double check my level. Once I'm happy with it, send that one home, and now I'll put a couple of 250mm tech screws through there. I do it through both, so I do it through this one, and I do it through that one as well, okay? Because otherwise what you can end up doing is, if you don't, you can end up twisting it very slightly, so it could be leaning more that way or that way, depending which way the wall's being pulled. Now, the only other level to take into consideration is this direction. So as you can see at the second, she's just out. But fear not, that'll be leveled up. When I put the first roofing joist across, I'll do the centre one first, pin it at the back, overhang it to the front, get the level correct, and then I'll secure it in. So basically that one going across there pins that front wall level, and then that's what keeps it all going and keeps it lovely and rigid. So there you go. So all I've got to do now is rinse and repeat, knock up the other lintel for the other side, and then I'm a happy boy. I will then stick on that first roofing joist just to like get that level perfect. Now the whole building's ready to rock along. Every other level is perfect. It's exciting. What I'll also do is I'll cut teeny tiny noggins just to put in there, okay? So that one, and a few just in between there. Again, this is just kind of my over engineering, but I like to double these up. So these are all like nailed to one another as well. So they're secured, then in there. Because what we're doing is we're transferring weight, okay? So once the roof is on, and it doesn't weigh a lot in like building terms by any stretch of the imagination. So as the weight is sat on top of this lintel, it's then sent down here, okay? If you've got two of these, it's just taking it, just make it a bit easier for this bit of wood. You could just probably get away with one and one. I don't want to. I want two. I'm greedy like that. So if you're in Wix this morning, you can't find anything, it's people like me, all right? So that's it. I'll cut the other one and I'll be back in a mo. Right, here we go. Well, no. Don't know what I'm listening to. So, here we go. Did I show the front wall? I can't remember where I got to. But there you go. That is now in, beautifully, all fixed and secured. Now it's time to level the front wall because she's leaning that way a bit, as she would do because she's not secured. I have placed 1 250mm tack screw through here into this wall. I've checked the level on this wall. And what I've done is, what you want to do, stick a brace across there, old bit of manky wood, cut a 45. Once you're happy it's level, screw it into the floor. Now that means when I'm pulling that wall, it's not then pulling the back wall and pissing that one up, because we don't like that. So I'm going to put you on the Uber flip with a doobry, and then hopefully you can see me do this and see how I do it, because it can be done one man easy. Right, 2 seconds. Right. So what I've done is I've piloted the holes through here, 2 of them, one that'll hit the front beam and one that'll hit the second beam. I've got my impact driver up there with the right head on it. Got my level. So all I've got to do now, very simply, is climb. Also we'll get raised. That's why you hang around here, isn't it? I have measured from that wall to that end. I've done the same from that wall to this end, so I know that this is perfectly symmetrical with that one. I will simply put my level on this wall here, and I can see she wants to come towards me. So I'll just give it a little pull. Little pull. Oh, easy. So. Just keeping it in line. So what I've done as well is, because this will move around a little bit, so when it's perfectly measured, I've pencil marked down both sides so I know where it needs to sit. So what I'll do is put my body weight on this side like this. So I'm putting it into my armpit. Again, making sure it stays in that pencil line. That is bloody lovely. So I'll keep that there for a second. Put one in, and then what I'll do, I'll jump down in, just get a better eye on it. Done. I'll screw that one in, and we're done, and that is level. Right, okay. So now, if I swing it around again, wow. Isn't that cool? So basically, I just rinse and repeat what I did for the first one. So basically, I've measured 57.5 to the front of here, and I've measured the exact same across all the fronts, so they're all exactly the same. What you can also do at this point is, if you wanted to, you could put the far corners on first, and then you can run your string line that you did for the bottom. So just make sure you've got a string line running across the front of the left and far right ones, and you just slide these up until they butt into it. But because I've got my measurement, I know it's 57.5, I just measured each one and then secured it. So what I've done is, I've just pronged, so I fired 3 shots in, boom, 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 at an angle on both sides. So, like that, and then a little bit, like that. And then what I'll do is, I'll get some roof trusses to hook here and pin it in place as well. So over-engineered, but I like that. What I do when I do this, sorry, the reason I didn't do many videos of this part was because it was potentially going to be pissing it down, so I want to get it done. Once that centre one was first in, I then cut a little noggin, which was measured from the centre, well, measured from this edge, put this one on loose, put it on the centre of there, then cut this, so I know that every time is going to be repeated. So before I'd fire it in, I'd slot this between it, butt the last one up to it, and then fire it in. Now what this does is, it firstly means that every single one is exactly the same space, which is lovely, because when you're cutting your insulation later on, it means that every single one is going to be exactly the same size bay. What it also does is, when you put this in between these joists, like this, and then you fire from this edge into there, it stops this bottom from kicking across, because it's got that to lean up against. So as the pressure hits it, boom, that keeps it in place, and you don't get slightly pissed, warped, or closing gaps, anything like that. So it keeps everything absolutely perfect. So now what I'll do is, I'll run and cut the exact same size, as many as I need, and these will then be the joints. So that'll do straight through the centre. A load of these, they'll just be offset from each other, just because it makes it easier to fire my pins in. But that's what I'll do now. But yeah, I wanted to get this on, because what I could do now is I've got a tarp, so I could chuck that over the top and keep it a bit drier in here, because I don't like getting wet where I can help it. So just a selfish reason really, but there you go. Right, I'm going to cut those centre noggins. Here's another top tip. Once you've got these on, what I've just been doing is pulling the tarpaulin over the top. Isn't that nice? Now tarpaulin is actually useless for keeping the rain out, mostly. But if you get it on, so I've actually just screwed through the ringlets. So you can just see, not that one, but that's the only one I missed, and I put the camera, there you go, all the way down. So it's nice and tight. And then what I do is create like a little T, push it up, so what I've created is a peak. So water hasn't really got a chance to kind of come sit on it and then slowly drip through. This should hopefully mean that the water will just feed off and get rid of it. So hopefully my floor should stay a bit dry. I'll stay at least a bit dry, trying to work it here. And that's it, job done. Because normally I would do the walls as I've done, and then I'd OSB these on the exterior first before I even touched doing the roof. But because obviously heading into sort of October and stuff, yeah, you don't know when it's going to piss down. So this way it kind of gives you the opportunity to get this done and keep myself dry a bit when I'm trying to work. Told him selfish. Right, so we're now inside again, and now you can see there's my noggins. So what I do is I measure the internal wall from obviously that one to there, divided by 2. That gives me 143 in this one. So that's there. So I then get a level. Well, sorry, I mark that first, and about every 4 put a mark at that distance. Then I grab a level, put it on the first mark, and then your second mark, and then just simply mark your lines. Boom, boom, boom. Do that all the way through. So you've marked your centre line all the way through, and then you just cut your noggins. In this case, it's 35, whatever it was. In this case, I need like 12 in here or whatever. Cut them all the same size, because even though these apertures were slightly different, that's just where the wood is bowing as it kind of goes. But I know the distance between there and there is equal because I use a spacer. So by putting the same size noggin in, and I'm equalising all the way through, which is straightening up everything. So offsetting it means that I can get in hole there, one there, one there. If I put them all in a row, then that'll come in there. Then I'm gonna have to shoot this at an angle across through, sort of through that way. And yeah, it's doable, but this is a bit easier, so why not? The next job that I am currently progressing on with is front trimmer, because I could do the internal noggins on the walls, but it's not pissing down in a second, so I thought I'd do some outside stuff. So there you go, there you can see what's all going on. Now, how you hold this stuff up on your Jack Jones is with a dead man's hand. So basically what I do is I just take an old scrap bit of wood, nail it up to there so it overhangs. That then means I can rest this end on there. I then grab the other end, go this end, and just file my pins in, and you're done. Easy peasy. But what you will find every now and then is you'll get a bit where I can turn around on these ladders. Let's see, can you see that camera? Look, that is like hanging down, and you know there will be some that you just can't push back up into place. So get yourself some of these Irwin quick grips, get it pinned, and then what you'll see is it just pulls it back up into place. Now sometimes even these won't do it, so what I do is I combine it with intelligence. I'm squeezing tight at it, and I'm using my hammer to smash the crap out of it to force it up, and then that's compressing it and keeping it in place. That normally does it. And then of course once that's done, I then apply 3 nails, and that is that done. So that is now the front trimmer basically there. So that is pretty happy days. So I think it'll be time to start packing up soon, but I think it'll agree. Not a bad old day. So all the walls built. Top what do you call it? Wooden support beam, lintel. I don't get it. All built. All the roof joists on. All the centre sections on, and the front trimmer on. Oh yeah, I'm having a beer tonight. Done. Right, if you like what you've seen, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share it with your mates, all that kind of jazz. This is the boring part of the video. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching. And joining me again tomorrow, where I should be cracking on and getting the rest of the studs in, getting the OSB 3 on the exterior walls, and generally having a good time and drinking tea and eating biscuits. Nice. See you tomorrow.